Hello, hi, my name is Casey Whitmarsh. I'm the chair of the South Fairfax Chamber of Commerce, and we want to welcome you all today to our segment on Are You Financially Literate? There's a couple of key points as far as running a business. One of them is hiring, but the other one is just knowing how your money is going up and down and all that good stuff. So we're super grateful to have Gufran Ahmad and the Director of Business Finance Center for the Community Business Partnership, and Carlene Sinclair Robinson, the Assistant Director, Business Finance Center for the Community Business Partnership here. So thank you guys so much for showing up today. We're excited to hear the message that you have to share with us. Oh, Carlene, I think you're muted. There we go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So I can go.
Yeah, yes, by all means, the show is all yours and Gufran's.
Okay. Gufran, you want to go ahead and say the first part and then I'll take over from there?
Sure. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Chamber Leadership, for inviting.
I think we just lost him.
Yes, I think we did.
Okay. So let's move on because we don't want to keep folks waiting too long. So thank you all first to the Chamber for having us and to you for showing up. Community Business Partnership is that a nonprofit organization tasked to supporting small businesses from the idea stage all the way through growth. And so our role is to help you around your money, around building that sound business to be able to be financially viable. So when we got asked this question to present on Are You Financially Literate? We were like, yes, absolutely. We're here. We'll, do what we can to help educate and do what is necessary to share key concrete information with you so you can grow your business or even just survive through the crazy that we're going through right now. Just a quick note, I am like you. I actually started as a client, as a business owner, going through the motion. And so we want to make sure that you're not just hearing someone talk from the perspective of the finance world. I'm talking from the entrepreneurial world, sitting in your seat, learning and understanding this aspect of it too. And just a quick FYI, Gufran has a background in banking and other aspects. So we are really a good team to help you from the idea stage all the way through growth in whatever capacity from that monetary mindset factor. And I will say this before I go any further, if your money mindset isn't in alignment, you will not succeed. So let's make sure we work on that. From there, based on what we're asked to present today, we're going to be discussing the financial literacy factor. Financial literacy, in my own words, is to develop an understanding and habits that helps the individual better manage and grow their money through effective financial management. We've been doing this long enough to know that more than likely a business fails because that foundation is not secure enough. So when we get those tremors, when we get those, tsunami of things like COVID or anything else showing up, that wind blows off sail or off course. And so we need to, I like to put this phrase out there, get jiggy with it and make sure that we are being effective when it comes to the financial management of whether our personal life and our business life, because they balance out each other. So with that, and if I'm talking too fast, bear with me. I am originally from Jamaica and we can talk fast. So with that, where are you on the financial spectrum? We thought long and hard when we got this question asked of us to present on this. There's so much we could throw at you. I mean, we could have a 1-year course on this every day of the the year, and we would not cover everything. And so just so the time that we have, where are you on that financial spectrum? And maybe some of you are doing fantastic. Maybe you're doing great. Good. Maybe help somebody else make it happen. So from there, we always have to look at the personal side, because no business will stand on its own without you understanding the personal side of you. What's going on the personal side? If you're not doing certain things from a financial perspective, including things like budgeting and, managing your money effectively, paying your bills, or just simply put, opening the bills so you know what's coming in, where are you? You cannot effectively do that financial practice to be sustainable over time if you're not focused on it, if you're not paying attention to it. If you put it off, it's not going to work. And so understanding the personal side, the habits, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and then what do we bring into the business world? And some of us are in business for a long time, and maybe some of you on here could actually teach me something. But at the end of the day, do we have some bad habits because you've been in business so long? And I'll give you an instance. And ladies, I will pick on you. Guys, I will find what I need to pick on you for. But if you've been in business 15 years, 20 years, and on day 62 of the new year, you cannot tell us what you earned last year, that's a problem. Simply put, what did you put in the bank account last year? So a variety of things. Where's your money? Both on the personal side and on the business side. Because if the personal side is a mess, you're going to have a mess on the business side. Again, I deal in that balancing factor. So we want to make sure that we're working through both sides of it. From there, are we working with any type of goals? Do we have some SMART goals, or let's say goals at all? Are we writing anything out? Are we setting those milestone factors that we want to accomplish, whether in the short term, midterm, or long term? Some of us go into business to fire our old boss. Well, you just went into business and picked up a whole store of bosses. That's your client, the customers. So what does it look like for you from the financial perspective? What do you need to do in the next 12 months to whether get your business or personal credit in order, to save some money, make sure that you have some savings? Where do you want to see yourself in the next 3 years? These are things you must think about. And if you're not doing that, then that's part of why we're on that hamster wheel going nowhere. And so we want to make sure that you're looking, how far out do you want to go to think about the term retirement? We don't truly retire, by the way, but let's say you pick a 15, 20 year down the road, walk it back to within this period. And what do you need to do to set yourself up for success? Maybe you want to own multiple businesses, but if the current one is not operating effectively, then you're going to have to do something about it. So I always tell our clients that the financial aspect of your business is the heart. So think about your body, the heart, pumping the blood around it. If it's not working properly, we're going to have a problem. And so we want to make sure that you are clear on those business goals, personal goals, the financial goals that will then set you up for success. From there, you must, and you might see and realize that it's like coming out of me right now in a way, because these are the challenges we've experienced with business owners. When a business owner shows up earning $4 million a year and I cannot finance them a $20,000 loan, that's a problem, right? And it's not because of anything on our side. We want to make sure that you are in a position that if you ever need to go for other people's money, you can do so effectively, along with the fact of where are you? Perform that financial audit. Don't put it off. This is like, something's wrong with the ticker up here and you're not paying attention to it. It's like the gas gauge in your vehicle. It runs out of gas if you don't pay attention to it. It's the same thing here. So get your gears in order and work on your savings. Look at what the income is. If you have one income, what do you need to do in the next 12 months to increase? If you only have one client, we're talking about a concentrated factor that's not effective. So if we want to have multiple streams of income, we have to pay attention to what's going on. If we have a ton of debt, how do we get that debt load off if we're not paying attention to what's going on? How do we negotiate with our creditors? Do you have tax debt that could then impede your access to getting other people's money when you need to borrow? So I'll just go from it from another angle. You know, I have a high functioning autistic son, and I remember the time he learned in school about taxes. And he comes home and he regurgitates the same video over and over, telling us why we should pay our taxes. Now, if you ever had a kid around that does that, it can drive you crazy. I'm telling you this because the taxes you pay help to enable us to drive on the roads, have the kinds of schools, and all that. So if you have a tax debt, work towards paying it in the appropriate time. Plan for it. There's a book I think you all should at some point consider getting. It's called Profit First. Go check it out. It gives you some ideas, clear ideas as to how to compartmentalize your money in a way that you can address these challenges that you might have. Making sure that we pay attention to our credit. I always say credit is like playing the game of tennis. If you ever watch Serena Williams play tennis, well, it is like that. As hard as you hit it, whether good or bad, is how it's going to be impacted. So those of you who are shying away from it, being afraid of it, or don't want to have too much, I don't want to have too much credit for whatever reason, maybe you might need to get a credit assessment. That's what we're here for. We help with a variety of things from that perspective. But at the end of the day, shying away from doing this is non-negotiable. You can't do that anymore. If you really want to succeed, it's time to take the blinders off, pull the Band-Aid, or the Band-Aid, the big Band-Aid off, and get with the program. How are you going to effectively grow your money if you don't know what you have going on, and processes to create processes to be able to increase it over time and let your money then work for you? So you really have to start here. You really have to hone in on all of this. And at any time, if you need help, you know where to find us, okay? This is what we do day in, day out, and making sure that business owners get savvy when it comes to the financial aspect of their business. And any impact that we see that might be coming from the personal side, we're going to share with you ideas and thoughts that we have to help you get there based on what you've presented to us. Then when we think about all of those things, right? Again, saving is a critical element. We tend not to want to save as much, or some folks save more while others don't. Saving must be a bill. Saving must be a priority. Saving should be considered an expense. And if you make it an expense, then you will pay it. Make it one of the first expense you pay so that you can build liquidity over time, right? And work through these areas. Some of us will say, oh, I don't want to own real estate. Well, at the end of the day, how are you going to build asset if you don't own something? When we look at some businesses, unfortunately, we've seen cases of businesses closing down that had made millions of dollars annually, but they had to walk away from it because there's nothing there. Once the contracts went away, or the client's no longer there, there's nothing tangible that you can say, this is what I did over that period. This is what I accumulated over that period of time. So how do we build our asset portfolio? We need to work on that. So there's good debt, bad debt. How do we leverage to build that financial position that you can be proud of, that you don't have to run after the bank. The bank can actually, or banks can run after you, that it is possible. So once we start focusing on that, then we will be okay. So when you think of where you are in your financial position, you do have to ask yourself some questions. If you're one of those business owners right now, you've been in business a while, and it's Friday morning that you need to meet payroll, that you're trying to figure out how you're going to meet payroll. Well, that's a problem. And we know this is a juggling act as to how money comes in, money goes out of the business. There are different things you need to think about. How are you managing the cash flow aspect, the life cycle of your cash flow? Are you really making money? If you have to consistently be pumping cash into the business, but the business didn't make that money, then are you running a viable business? So there are a variety of things that you need to think about. Sometimes we find that business owners come to us, they want to get a loan for $250,000 when that business really only need maybe $35,000. So what is going on with your business? You do need to do that financial assessment and connecting the dots to all aspects of the business and the operational processes that you have in place. Sometimes it's the operational habits that cause you to derail, right? You're not paying attention to your receivables, or you're not paying attention to the fact that an employee might be defrauding you, all because you've taken your hand off the steering wheel of managing your money. So there are so many things that, we could sit here and discuss and go through, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. And if I always have to tell our clients, go back and think about your first experience managing money. Who did you see? Who did you learn from where money is concerned? So you can figure out where you want to go and build that business accordingly. From there, credit. Let's talk about credit. There are so many ways to look at credit, but when we're thinking of going to get money, or even if you're not going to get other people's money, these are things that you need to think of. So when we look at it from the lender's perspective, especially from the traditional lender sources, you need to understand they deal critically with the collateral, the cash flow, and the credit. What's going on with your credit, whether business and personal? What's going on with the cash flow? Are you really cash flowing? Or are you robbing from Peter to pay Paul to meet the expenses? And again, I talked about assets. Do you have any collateral that any other source would be able to utilize to get you what you need to help push your business along the way? So as a business owner, you do need to become literate around the process of the financial management of your business and what goes into that makeup. It's a recipe. When we think
Elaine,
of, yes.
can you elaborate a little bit more on the concept of cash flow?
Mhm.
I think that's probably, collateral, is typically something tangible and such, but I think
Mhm.
cash flow and that concept is really a huge component to financial literacy.
Sure. Absolutely. Great point. When you think of your cash coming in, one of the things I often always say to our clients, you need to track the money coming into your business. Who's paying you? How frequently are they paying you? What do you expect in the near future? Whether it's the next month, the next 6 months, the next year. Whether it's based on contracts or you're, in a store selling, what is it? What are you selling? So here's money coming in. But then every month you have expenses taken out. So when we think of the expenses taken away from the money you're earning, are you making more money, having left over at the end of the month? Or are you always juggling? And it is this juggling act to be able to be sustainable. Now, cash flow does not say you're profitable. And so I always say to business owners, go take the accounting 101 classes, go and learn more about this part of the operational process of your business, because if you don't understand cash flow, you're dead. And I'm not joking. So take, for instance, there's a management process around cash flow wherein you identify when you do certain things. You in terms of, like, for instance, let's say you want to do a marketing campaign with your business. Well, if the business is making 10,000 and you had a expense of 9,000 going out every month, well, you only have $1,000 liquidity left over, right? Well, the campaign you might want to start might be a $2,500 campaign over, let's say, 3 to 6 months. You cannot actually start it at that month because you're at $9,000. So what can you work down and then strategize over time to be able to make sure that you have the cash to pay the expenses at any given time that is happening. So there's a lot more to cash flow. There's no way I could deep dive into it in the time that we have, but just remember this: money coming in, you need to track it. You need to understand. And then money going out, where are you leaking? Do you need to be paying out on the expenses you're paying out on right now? Can you renegotiate rates to be able to help bring down the cost that's associated with any of those expenses on a monthly basis? And heaven forbid you have emergencies, right? So how are we planning for that? And that's one of the reasons I mentioned the book, Profit First, because it's one of those critical types of books you should be owning as a business owner to help you with these types of stuff. Do you have something else, Casey?
No, that was perfect. I just wanted to touch base on that. I think that's really important for people to understand that concept of cash flow. And I know you're going to have some greater insight on that as we kind of progress in the program. So
Very good. Thank you. So really and truly, part of the issue with cash flow is that business owners don't track their money coming in. So if you don't track the money coming in and then you don't necessarily effectively track the money going out, then you're going to have a problem. You've got to, the tracking mechanism is what is going to save you over time. And when you develop these habits, then it will become automatic and you won't be blindsided when, something might happen and you have to do certain things. Another thing with cash flow within your company, and any source, any individual working within your company, there's another word I would like to throw in the mix of this. It's called communication. The way we communicate plays a role, because if you're not effectively managing your cash flow, part of the problem is how you communicate. And when I say communicate, if you have others handling your money, if you're doing something over here and the other, whether it's your CFO or someone working within the company or just you alone, but you're not tracking things, the brain can only remember so much. So you've got to document things effectively to be able to save your life, save your cash flow over time. And another thing to get rid of and work through is the want it now mentality, so that you can effectively manage when you do certain things. Like when it's not the right time to bring in that, whether it's a new hire or buying that new product that you think might be beneficial to the business right now. This is why we always say, get some help and learn more about these processes. So think about that. And let me touch on capacity. Capacity is a critical element in you understanding the being financially literate, in that, do you have the capacity to take on the new debt? Can you actually manage? You have your cash flow over here, it's already rocky. And then you want to take on more challenges, whether to expand the business or to go borrow or whatever it is. Is it the right time? And do you have that capacity, whether it's a human capital capacity or the financial capacity? Do you have that wherewithal to take on whatever that is. So you want to be aware of these different aspects to be able to helping you get to that next level. And when we talk about character really boils down to, when we look at, as a lender, when we look at your credit, we see certain things. It's like, I guess we know what we're looking for. And on top of that, the way you interact with us, the way you communicate with people around you. So a variety of things go into that makeup of what makes up a character. Do you lie? Did you lie on your application? So something to be aware of. If you and your spouse own the business and one is 51% and the other is 49%, and you fill out a loan application and put on the application that you, for your section on that application, own 100%, you just lied. And that has actually happened, right? So we want to make sure that you're paying attention. Sometimes it's not intentional, but you want to pay attention to those types of things, the little nuances, because guess what? Your tax return is going to tell us the story. So we want to make sure that you're clear on certain aspects of the financial management. So when we think about all of those, these are things, other areas that you need to understand. We actually, Casey, just so you're aware, you and Carla, we actually offer credit training. We actually have some sessions coming up where you can come and learn about business credit, personal credit. Just check our website and you'll see the upcoming dates under the training section. At the end of the day, I mentioned earlier the process of playing the tennis game. If you understand this, you will know when to do certain things. It's a similar process to managing your cash flow. When do you do certain things to be more effective? And as long as we get outside of the want it now mentality, you can make some changes effectively over time. So when we think of credit utilization, those who don't know what that means, it's the access to credit that you have and how much you've used of that credit. Okay, whether it's on one credit card or the combined total of the credit that you have access to, right? So whether we're looking at direct credit cards from the bank or from the store cards, all of that combined, that makes up that 35% of your score. The utilization, how much of that you've used will put you either in the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone. So don't go through the stoplights anymore and not think about your credit. Habits is a critical element. Make sure that you are paying your bills on time. It's going to help you over the long run develop your financial perspective and management more effectively. All right. So you can come to, or if you can make it, come to the training on the credit factor, because it's quite a bit. And you need to understand how it could impede the business growth from the personal side, and then on the business side, what you need to think about, because there's another process for business credit. Okay. From there, we want to understand risk. You cannot want to be in business, being in business, and not learn to manage risk for yourself. And then understanding risk from the perspective of us as lenders or investors to your business. And maybe you're saying, I don't need an investor, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you might take on a contract or that client that might be a risk issue for you. So we want to understand risk in a variety of ways, not just from a borrowing other people's perspective, other people's money perspective. So make sure you're thinking about where you are and work your way through to being low on the scale if you want to get investment dollars in your business, or you want to leverage some other opportunities. Make sure you're setting yourself up for success. It's probably do a deeper dive on what that looks like. And I'll talk about the risk factor when we talk about from a credit and a lending perspective. Lenders are looking at you from a credit risk perspective. So you already know, I don't need to teach you this. If the credit score is at a certain point, below 700, below 600, what that means for you. higher interest rates, possibility that you won't get access to the capital that you need, and the business you're trying to hold on to or start might fail before it even got started. And then the possibility based on the historical perspective of you potentially defaulting on a debt. This is why paying your bills, if you don't do anything else, paying your bills on time is critical, both on the business side and on the personal side. All right. So from there, there's some fundamental financials you must pay attention to. All right. Budgeting is critical. If you came to us to say you want to start a business, we want to see that startup budget, and it needs to make sense. If you say you're going to start a daycare in your home and you want to borrow $250,000, why would you need $250,000 for a home daycare? That's not logical. So based on your industry, based on what you're looking to do, whether it's starting or expanding a business, where's the budget? You've got to figure that out, that expansion budget or startup budget. If you don't do anything else after this session, if you don't come back to whether the chamber or come and see us, if you don't interact at all ever again with us, make sure you do two things. Pay attention to your credit and pay attention to your personal financial statement. One of the things that we discovered through the financial meltdown that we experienced over a decade ago is that so many people did not have a clue what their net worth was. And so connecting the dot between the personal financial statement and your net worth is critical. Again, I talked about assets already, understanding those things. What's the assets versus the liabilities that you have? What's your debt to income? We need to understand these things. Okay, here's the debt, here's the income. How much money do you bring in a month? How much debt do you have to pay out in a month? When we match those two, what does it look like? And anyone who wants these financial ratios, we can get them to you. Again, I am a huge believer in saving, and I'll tell you where that started. I mentioned I grew up in Jamaica, and the fact that my mother, while I was in primary school, it's not called elementary, it's called primary school in Jamaica. We did not have a bank account back then. We had a thrift club at school. And every Monday, I would get money from my mother and take to school to put in our thrift club. And I'll never forget the year we were able to take $600 out. And that was what bought Christmas presents. And presents weren't presents like you all think of presents, right? So that inner process that happened with me when I was a young child made me realize the importance of saving. So I can't stress anything else as effectively as that, is that we need to realize why we need to save, and then why we need to build assets, performing assets over time. Don't be afraid of the IRS. The IRS works for you. So that means you need to learn some things about the IRS. What goes into the makeup of your tax return? If we ask you for your tax returns based on you wanting to apply for it, don't send us the first page and the last page. Don't send us just the first 2 pages. We want the whole document. So that's part of you understanding what we as lenders think about, and you as that individual managing your financials, both personal and business, that you know if you're sending something out to another source, you're required to send all of it unless they tell you otherwise. Okay, that was some of the challenges we saw last year from well-versed business owners who did not realize that that's a part of being financially literate, to the extent that if we ask for this, we need all of it, including those bank statements that might have a blank page, but it's got a number. Don't throw those out. They're important, even though they're blank. From there, the business financials that you must pay attention to. And, when you work all of this together, do you actually have a business plan? So you want to make sure that you're working on the numbers from the forecasting of the budget, whether it's a startup or expansion. How are you going to make money? One of the areas I absolutely love, I dive to work through it, is that how did you come up with that dollar amount you say you're going to make that year or that month? Because there is a formula process that goes into how you make that money. And if we can't see that on paper, that's a problem. So you need to learn how to come up with those things. So you can speak the language, that you are able to talk about your business in a way that people understand and know that you know what you're talking about. Okay, so when we talk about cash flow versus cash flow projections or forecasts versus the actual statement, we're looking at this is what we project, and then this is what we expect to earn, or what we did rather. So the cash flow statement says this is what you did. Okay, that's it. The projections is what you're projecting that you're going to be able to do. When we think of the income statement, we're thinking, you're looking at it from the perspective of maybe you're talking to your banker and they call it one thing, and you're talking to your CPA, they call it another. It is what determines profitability. And just so you're aware of this, depending on the bank you're working with, if they ask for 3 years of financials and any of those years had a negative where you suffered a loss, it's likely you might not get the financing. So relationship building is another piece of this whole mix, to build relationship with your bank and your lender sources and any other source that you're working with, your CPA, so that they can really, talk with you so you'll better understand these components of a business. And maybe some of you on here might be well versed in this, but there are other areas that you might be, needing some work through. All right. That balance sheet, that snapshot of where you are right now, assets, liabilities, the equity you have in the business. Okay. Critical pieces to think about. And never forget to log your debt so you know where it's at and how quickly you'll be able to pay it down. All right. From there, we're also looking at, when you think of the financial management and being literate around it, I say to folks sometimes, I'm like this. I actually have, I believe, 5 different financial business related dictionaries, and I literally go through them from time to time. I'm one of those crazy persons that maybe sometimes on a Sunday evening I might pick one up because a word might come to me and I think, okay, how am I going to help you be more effective? But also for you, where do you need to go? How do you forecast? Because there's a science behind all of this. And we want to make sure that you're not afraid to work through it and take that fear factor out and then develop from where you are with the plan for where you want to be. Because it's all in that visualization process and then working for it, right? I hope I'm making sense to you. I'm one of those people.
Absolutely. No, Carlene, you're making great sense. Yeah,
Thank you.
we
Absolutely.
just want to make sure that we get through all of it before the time
Oh,
runs
yes,
out. But
I'm
yeah,
almost done. I'm almost done.
no, but your information has just been definitely engaging. So it's good stuff.
Thank you. So with that, when we show up, when I show up, I think of it like this. I might never meet you. I might never see you again. So what I can do right now, I'm going to give you as much as I can to help you on that journey. So with that, how do you prepare yourself? You might have been in business and COVID just blew you out the water. Now you have to pivot. How do you shift that? How do you work that into a budget? How do you make sure that things are in a process where you can survive long enough through crazy and then be able to just substantially grow over time? So being proactive is, I don't need to tell you this, is way better than being reactive. So you want to think, and by the way, before we end this decade, please know that something else is coming. Don't be fooled. Something else is coming. History has already told us, and if we don't learn from history, we're going to repeat. Okay? So think about, who do you need to involve in this whole process to help you? Not people who are naysayers, not people who are going to put you down, but you want to get with folks who are going to help you be accountable to making it work, to create, for you to create those benchmarks to get you on that trajectory to the success that you want. And if you already have that success, here's what I say: come help the chamber and come help organizations like CDP so we can help more people and build a better economy. Okay? With that, types of budgets. So many different types of budgets. Pull them out, work on them according to what is needed and when it's needed. All right? Over time. And never forget the personal one, wherein you have the personal budget and you have the personnel one for your employees if you want to hire, and make sure you're paying those taxes for them. If you really want to see what the government does, just take a quick look at the Washington Business Journal. They are going to publish it if you're actually brought to court. All right, it gets published in the Washington Business Journal. With that, cash flow management, those essential elements of that cash flow, things that you need to think about as you work through. And anyone who needs some templates to help you, we have those also, so we can share them, Casey, with the audience to work through on Excel spreadsheet and figure out, are you on track? If you've never done it, then just ask for help. That's what we're here for. Okay. Ways to improve financial literacy. Again, you must do that audit, do the due diligence to help you figure out where you are. You need that starting point, right? Understanding the debt, understanding the expenses, and where's money coming in. Now, if I was to poll the audience, how many of you, you don't need to share just now, just think about this. How many of you have more than one income? How many got 4, 5, 10 different streams of income? And I don't mean those of you who do government contracting and you get all your payment from the federal government. Okay, we've got to diversify our income processes. So work through these things. And as you can tell, I strongly stress that you get help. Help is there. That's what we're here for. And not just us, there's a whole team. And if you have a family member that's a business owner in another region within the United States, we have sources that we can actually send you to across the country, just so you're aware of that. If you decide to move, that's a whole other thing too, right? Now, the government worked and created this Money Smart for small business, and it's a 13 training module program that you can actually get access to. We are sharing the link so you can get it. And from there, if it's of any help, let us know also, because we do report back to the Small Business Administration as some of our centers within Community Business Partnership are SBA programs. And so we want to make sure that you have access to this critical information. Our information is here for you to connect with us at any point. There's so much more we could share, but this is the time we have, and I know I've taken up a lot of it already. So thank you.
Outstanding. Carlene, thank you so much for sharing. I'll be very very transparent on it. You were very transparent, and I loved the way you presented it, the way you explained everything. It was a bird's eye personal view of financial literacy. One of the things that I loved right from the beginning was your financial spectrum, the concept of balance and on your personal and business. I mean, quite candidly, a lot of business owners, when they go into the concept of opening a business, they realize that it's not intended statistically to be profitable for the first few years. But at the end of the day, unless you have a huge cash reserve, you still got to eat.
Right.
So, um,
Right.
yeah, so that's crucial for opening a business and continuing and maintaining a business. Um, Out of curiosity, when it comes to that realm, as far as the reports, you mentioned started setting up a budget and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. You talked about doing your personal first. Once again, what was the reasoning and rationale behind that personal approach before business?
Think about it like this. We have children and we're the parent to the child. So the business is a new child. And whether it's 5 years old or 10 years old, it is still your child. And so you're responsible for it to a point where hopefully you can grow it to where it can stand on its own financially, where a bank won't require you to guarantee anything for it. Right. So at the end of the day, if your personal financial position is a mess, it's going to impact the business also. All right. Based on
Uh,
where your business is. And the other part, I mentioned this money mindset. That mindset, you can't cut yourself in half and leave one half of you over here for the personal side and then the other half of you over here. Right. So if you have a mess in the personal side, it is going to impact. I've been doing this, actually been counseling business owners since 2009. I have been training business owners in the classroom since 2009, volunteering way before that. And let me tell you something, I'm not backing down from what I just said. I've seen enough mess and I've had to help clean up some of it. And I throw no punch. I'm not going to take back the punches I throw when it comes to this, because it pains me to see someone spend 5, 10, 15 years and then the business falls because they did not pay attention to certain things.
right.
So
No, and you're
no
absolutely correct.
apologies.
No, and I appreciate and respect that transparency and real world approach on that, and the harsh reality of it.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, Especially after COVID took place, regrettably, a lot of businesses folded simply because they didn't have the measures in place to withstand just even that interim time until they could start getting the PPP loan stuff through. So it's having that cash reserves, having that stuff, and I want to address just the concept that, today what we went over was really a big bird's eye view of what was going on how to properly prepare. Yeah, profit first.
That's,
Yes, I see
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, you can definitely reach out to the CBP on just some additional resources on financial literacy, getting those spreadsheets. It really is an important investment in your business, and really it just takes time to educate yourself. So once again, Carlene, thank you so much for showing up today. We really appreciate this presentation and this introduction into this realm. We're looking forward to maybe even diving into this later, because you're absolutely right. We could do something each day for a year and still probably not tackle everything.
Nope.
So
Yep.
Once again, I want to thank our sustaining members. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to put on such wonderful presentations and have such great community partner collaborations. So we're super thrilled to be able to do this for our community, our business members, our nonprofits alike, because at the end of the day, our goal really, just as Carlene was mentioning, the concept of financial literacy is success. Our goal as a chamber and to be there for you is to help you succeed as well. So thank you so much. Um, Carlene, if you can go to the next slide.
Yes. I literally was about to. There you go.
Awesome. There we go. So we want to definitely let everybody know we do have one more webinar today. It's Make Connections Work for Your Business Nonprofit. And that's really just kind of putting everything together and expanding your sphere of influence. So we're going to have some great presenters that's going to highlight that portion of business entrepreneurship. We'd also encourage everybody to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're out there, and our goal really is just to help establish open lines of communications between everybody. So once again, thank you all for showing up today. Look forward to seeing you all shortly. And then, oh, and then last, I apologize. The last thing to kind of showcase is at 6 o'clock, we do have our happy hour. We'll be able to actually talk about the chamber's and like an update on the chamber's activities, our initiatives. We're going to have a meet and greet. It's going to be a great time to just kind of close the day off with a nice celebration of sorts. So look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you. Great presentation. I enjoyed it.